Hi people, Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about something simple but it can be important, and that is your chain tension. Now I know there's a million videos out there on YouTube, but I've never read the Stihl manual about tightening chains up, because I've been tightening chains up all my life. Since I was a kid on a push bike, there was always problems with chain tension. Then later on, when I ran motocross, you were forever tightening chains on the motocross because they stretch. Now, I just said something that was incorrect, and that is chains don't stretch. We use that terminology, chains stretch. But in actual fact, what happens is that all the roller bearings and everything in the chains all get worn, elongated. The length of the chain becomes longer. So yes, we do use that terminology, stretch. And especially from a new chain, it's fairly tight. Once it's been run for about a minute or so, it loosens up a little bit and it becomes longer because all the clearances get slightly larger, so the chain gets a little bit longer. So it is really important. Now there's three states, and I'll mention the first two about chain needing to be tensioned, and we'll see whether you can think of a third state where a chain needs to be tensioned. The first is a cold chain, which is what this is here. The chainsaw hasn't been run. It's at ambient temperature. It needs to be adjusted. Let's just say it's not a new chain or anything else like that there. It's a one that's been used, so we're going to go out and we're going to use it out in the field. And we want to make sure that it's at the correct tension. It's actually quite critical, and it's a really good thing that you do it properly, because you're only going to create a lot of wear and tear on your drive sprocket bearing. The chain itself, it's under more stress if it's too tight or too loose. The actual bar itself, the bar rails, and the sprocket nose, the nose of the sprocket here. So all of this drive chain here is going to get excessively worn if you over tighten your chain. If you under tighten your chain or have it too loose, that causes extra wear also on the sprocket, so the sprocket doesn't wear properly. So you really need to get the right tension. Now that's one example of having the right tension, and we'll go through each one of these states after I go to the second one. The second one is hot. Tighten the chain up when the chainsaw's hot. If you over tighten when it's hot, when it cools down, you'll find out, because of all the linkages, it actually will shrink more than what the bar will, and it will become tighter. So yes, be careful when you tighten it up when it's hot. Now, did you think of the third state where a chain needs to be adjusted correctly? Just wondering whether, and it's a brand new chain. Brand new chain needs to be checked twice. When you first put it on, you set the tension, you start the saw up, you run it for a minute or two, set the tension. Because what will happen, all the bearings are nice and tight, and during the rotation, they'll loosen up a little bit. And as I said before, the chains don't stretch, but they elongate a little bit, the holes in there, the bearings, everything gets a little bit bigger, and the chain actually gets a little bit longer. When a chain is really worn out, you'll run out of tension adjustment, and you're probably looking about 15 millimeters in movement, up to 15 millimeters. So that's per side. So a chain can, get longer by easy 20 millimeters in length, up to 30 millimeters once you run out of adjustment. So yes, it is critical. So let's have a look at tension in the chain the correct way, and so that you don't have problems in the future and you get longevity out of your chain. So we'll loosen this off And I just want to loosen it so that the nuts are loose. Now you saw the bar drop down. You can see that moving up and down. Now, if I was to tension that chain up now, it's in the wrong position, because you don't tension a chain up with the bar of the weight of the bar leaning down. You always push it up, because that's where you apply the pressure to the log from underneath. So always push it up. Now there's two ways to do this. I'll show you my preferred method. I'll show you three ways. There's my preferred method, which is this way. So I lift the saw up. That's enough tension to make my adjustment and put my hand in and check. That's that way. Another way, a lot of people do it this way. But then if you hold it up like this, then you've got to check for tension. So you can't really check for tension while you hold it. But certainly you can check for tension when you do it that way. So this method here, I really don't like that method. Another method that you can do, but I don't generally do it, but I've seen some people do it, is that you put it on a block of timber like that. It works, and you can adjust the tension that way. I will do my preferred method. So the first thing I do with any chain is loosen it a couple of turns. Rock that up and down. See that rocking motion? So, okay, there's our loose chain. Now, as I said, I've never ever read the Stihl manual about chains. Unfortunately, I've always learnt the hard way. And with chainsaws, I learnt the hard way too. A lot of people can become very, very lazy when they're using their chainsaw. They'll sit it on the ground and they'll see it a little bit. I'll just tighten it up a little bit. They'll see it like that. And they'll continue using the chainsaw. And they'll wonder why that the chain jumped off. If you see your chain like that, stop. You don't want it jumping off. It can cause damage to the chain, the bar, and the sprocket. Okay, so let's tension this up. Now, my method is, I'll tighten it up a little bit. I like to pull it down so that you can see a couple of drive links. To me, that is the perfect tension. I wonder if I can zoom in there. Hang on. I'll just put that down and we'll see whether you can see that tension properly. So I'm just putting I've got to pull on that maybe half a kilo, something like that there. To me, that's the perfect tension. I'll just nip that up. Now, should wear gloves when you do this. I don't have them on, but look at that. You can move that quite easily. That is beautiful. That is about the tension that you want. Nothing wrong with that tension. There is, in the Stihl manual, it turns round, and I did read it before I made the video. I thought, I'm going to read this. I've never ever read it. And it says, pull the chain and it should snap back. And it does. Oh, yeah, there you go. So, that is perfect. Now, if I go out now, this is a second-hand chain, so it's being used. The moment that heats up, it will get a bit looser. So I've got to decide if that looseness has increased from usage, or is it because it's just heated up. Now, if you tension it up more than what I've got it there, you're going to create extra wear and tear on the whole drive link system. Yeah, from here, the sprocket, all there. So this does work. You may have to retension that after about an hour's work. Just depends on how hot it gets. And the other thing is, make sure that when you do stop and refuel and all that, that you do recheck again. From time to time, recheck. So that was pretty straightforward. But what I wanted to show you, if you remember before, I did mention about chains stretching and they don't stretch. Well, you know, there's going to be a few people out there that are going to say, they're going to laugh at me. So, make this thing focus. What I want to show you, this is a steel chain too. I want to show you the movement that's in this chain. Look at that. And that's what I was saying before. Chains don't stretch. The bearings elongate. I'll just go to another part of the chain. Look at that, especially this one here. Look where my thumb is. So as you can see, that chain has come to the end of its life. Now the other method that I mentioned there's a fourth method. You could use a stump vise. A stump vise just attaches here, you screw it on there and you can adjust that way. The other method that you can use that works all right, and we'll do that, is you could sit it on a log. Whatever method you use, just make sure that you do tension it up. So we'll loosen this off again. Okay, so there it is. And I'll just tighten it back up. I tighten it up so that the drive link looks like it touches the bar, but as I pull that back down, probably, if that was a hot chain, I'd probably leave it like that. I'll just see if we can zoom in and you can see that. If I get right in there close, it is critical that you do the proper maintenance and avoid problems in the future. So you can see that the drive links almost, look, it's almost touching there. If I pull that a little bit, the drive links do come away. I prefer a little bit tighter than that. I just like to have it so that the drive links barely come off. I reckon that's pretty spot on. So you can use that log. That log actually does work quite good. By using the log, it gives you a free hand. You've got more room. So that's pretty good. We'll just take the log away. Now, if that's tensioned up really good, that should move easy. Look at that. You push that with your finger. And that's probably a good test. Use your thumb or your finger. You can push the chain. Look. Now, that's also provided that it's oiled. It's got oil on there. If the chain is really dry, it's not going to push around the bar very easily. So, yeah, bear that in mind. Before you stop your saw and do a chain tension, it's not a bad idea that you rev the saw up for about 10 or 15 seconds to get the oil back in there, because when you're cutting continuously, the oil is consumed quite a lot, especially through the sawdust, and your bar it'll be fairly dry. There will be oil on there, but not a lot. So yeah, when you've got a really dry chain and bar, very hard to get a correct tension because of everything's all tight. So yeah, that's a good way, another good way of making sure that it's tensioned properly while it's got a bit of oil on it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.